Up Sports Show with Bobby Chaffee.
We do have this nice little format that we try to follow every week. We don't usually follow it.
And Rodney Rodriguez.
Entertain me. Tell me something. I need to know something other than what I'm seeing.
Y'all ready? Right, here we go. Here's Bobby and Rodney.
Entertain. Tell me something. I need to know something other than what. Happy Labor Day, everybody. It's been a great Labor Day. I know I've been laboring all damn day. Labor Day. Work all day. It's all good.
Kind of funny how that works, isn't it?
I know, man. Pretty crappy. Pretty crappy. But it's all good. Hey, I'm just glad that I'm getting paid. So that's a good thing. Welcome in, and we're really going off the cuff here because a lot of times on the holidays, we'll push this little show out. But no, we're doing it on Monday. It is the Revved Up Sports Show. Bobby Chaffee's down south. I am up north. I'm Rodney Rodriguez. As we get set to go, it is a huge week, Bobby. This $10,000 to win biggest race in Texas. It's here. It's time to go.
It is finally here. A lot of anticipation for this race. Obviously, last year, while the racing was good and the action was great, not a lot of time to promote the race this past year in 2020. So this year's had a lot of opportunity and, probably eight to 10 weeks worth of promotion ready for this big race. So I really think that the added promotion and a lot of the extra time that people had to prepare for the truck, different kind of stuff. I know there were some guys set to race at H&P last weekend, but, due to circumstances that everybody's control, those races postponed. And so now you've got everybody set up and ready to go.
Yeah, I actually think that's a good thing. I mean, it sucks. I mean, we all want the track time, but I think the way it all shakes out, I think that big picture, that's going to help. But anyway, great show. People checking in. Loopers checking in. Tommy Temple, Foray's on. Sexy Joyce is on. Shane Turner, Patrick Kelly. We got them all, man. And this is a great program because we got a lot of people to talk to here tonight. 6:45, we'll talk to Jeffrey Abbey. What can you say about that dude? I mean, he checks in the gate, and it's like, okay, winner.
When he checks in, they're all battling for second, right?
Seems like it.
One of those deals like that.
Yeah, seems like it. Then we go into the big truck race, and then we go rapid fire. 7:15, the man that took $10,000 last year, Mason Teagle, talked to us. 7:35, we talked to Logan Boyette, who's one of the invaders that'll come in. And then at 7:55, we will talk to the showstopper, Jake Wright. So, and then boom, boom, boom. We'll pull them in and get their thoughts. And it's, that's three good ones right there. But there's so many more that I expect to see. And, of course, we're dual streaming on the Gulf Coast Racing Series page tonight. Thank you, Advanced Auto Parts. So I'm super excited. I think it's going to be a blanket weekend out there at Houston. Weather looks good, I think. So hopefully that's not going to be affected. Yeah, it's going to be hot as hell.
It's going to be hot, but, it's always hot in Houston come September.
And it could be. I mean, so many people talking about Kyle Busch last night with his, dropped the old shit word a couple of times there on network TV. We could hear this. I actually picked this up from Slide Job, at the Slide Job on Twitter. Great follow right there. But I picked this up from a race where this is what happened in Victory Lane last night. Never know. We might see this in Houston.
You've been running in the back of my shit all for like 5 years. Running in the side of me, blaming me. What's the video, bud? Rain check it. Hey, I raced you just like you did. The only difference was I did it for the win, not for 20th.
There you go. A little fired up, wasn't he?
Yeah, a little bit. There's been some interesting Victory Lane celebrations here the last little bit with people still winning and people still being pissed off. Much like the action we saw last night at Darlington. You love the way that Kyle Larson never gave up, tried to slam that thing into the fence and ride it all the way around. You know what's going to be fun is when Kyle Larson gets into one of these new next-gen composite body cars that aren't going to flatten tires and stuff like that. They're supposed to be able to take a licking and keep on ticking. I can't wait to see Kyle Larson in one of those next-gen cars.
Oh, man, I can't wait to see him at the snow. Anyway, yeah, that's going to be cool. That is going to be cool. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because he flattened that car. I do want to, before we get into the guests, and Bobby, it's something that we talk about on here all the time. I saw something that really, quite frankly, pissed me off today. Is our man Owen Pittman posted just some comments from. Did you see that, Bobby? That he posted.
I saw it.
And look, I mean, come on. I mean, it's one thing. We talk about it so many times. You can see it on Owen's page. I'm not even going to put it up here. Stephen Whitaker checking in. Congratulations, those guys, as the young man wins the race. And, of course, everything rolling along over there at South Texas. But I saw those comments about Owen, and for one thing, don't beat up the promoter. We go on and on about that, but here, okay, time to go to the Double R bar. I mean, I don't like to pull this up very often, to pull the stool up and bring this up, but you don't talk shit about a one-man show. And I don't mean that in a bad way to anybody that works at Texana Raceway Park, because there are a lot of folks that do a lot of really good work right there. But when you look at everything that Owen was doing the other night, I mean, he was race directing. We weren't there. I mean, he was announcing.
We couldn't make it.
Yeah, he was doing all of this stuff. And, I mean, if he called the drivers SOBs, sometimes I wouldn't blame him. But this is where people, you're biting the hand that feeds you. You're going to be bitching and moaning that the track is operated in a certain way, and then you're going to be bitching and moaning when it's gone. And that's not going to be the case there with this, because you know, with Cord, everything that he's doing there, you're well aware of this, Bobby. But you don't go in there and you don't beat up, especially a guy that is trying to do 15 things at one time.
Yeah, it's crazy the amount of stuff that Owen does on a normal night, having to fill in for gaps when the staff either can't show up or doesn't show up or quits in the middle of the night or whatever the case may be. You know, for one of those reasons, you know, especially it was this weekend was incredibly tough for him, having to do the announcing side of it and still trying to do race directing. So it was a challenge for Owen. He was up to the challenge from everything that we got to see, you know, race on Texas. Usually if Owen gets fired up, it's because the races, you know, he's trying to get a couple of starts in, you know, a couple of racers not living up to the start that they need to get into, or
right.
They just aren't rolling like they need to, or you get into the middle of the main event and they start beating and banging and wrecking and crashing, and he's got to tell them to get in line and start putting on a good show, because that's what we're all there for, the competition, but we still have to balance it out with something to be a really good show for the fans in the stands too.
Well, and the whole thing is there with Owen. I mean, he works his ass off, and I mean, he has a lot of people that help him, and I'm glad that he does have those folks. But when it comes to race day, I mean, there's so many pivotal things that he is doing on his own. And that makes it even tougher, and that's where I just go back to. I mean, if you want to complain and don't threaten anybody. Look, you guys. I mean, we know it so well. You know, having done this for so long. If you have a problem with somebody, go talk to them. Go settle it somewhere else. But don't grab this thing right here and just start threatening and doing all of this. I mean, that's bullshit. I mean, that's all that I'm going to tell you. And it irritated me even more. I mean, I don't want people threatening Marianne. I don't want people threatening the folks at 105 or RPM or anybody. But don't sit here and try to beat up a guy that's, man, he's doing this on his own accord. He's doing this on his own accord just to try to keep the place open. And that is just flat ass bullshit. And it really pissed me off today. It really was
pretty bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Owen's a popular guy too. I mean, like everybody, I mean, there's been more people standing up for Owen than people trying to say anything bad about him. That's the best part about it. But a lot of people coming to his aid on social media, you know, saying, hey, Owen's one of the best race directors. He's doing this, he's doing that. And, you know, it's good to see we talk about the buy-in all the time, right? Where people at Cotton Bowl, they buy into the vision that H and Marianne have.
Yeah.
Clearly people with 178 cars at Texana there on a Sunday night show, on a big 3-day weekend show.
Yeah.
You know, clearly the racers and the crews and everybody have bought into the vision that Owen and Cord have at Texana.
And the other part of it is when you have somebody that is doing all of that, I mean, there are going to be things that happen. I mean, there are going to be slip-ups, but the one thing that we can say, especially about Owen, I mean, even when he talked about when he had to run the race on Monday, I mean, he said, epic fail. I mean, he totally owned it, and this is what he does. And I mean, he's done this for so long, and this is a guy that he just wants to better race. And I can tell you, because Owen and I are having some discussions, you know, off the record about stuff that he wants to do to help promote not Texana, not specifically his racetrack. He's wanting to do stuff that are just going to be major impact things for Texas, Louisiana, Oklahoma, dirt track racing. Not only that, even trying to factor in Houston with the asphalt part. I mean, this is a guy that continually gives and gives and gives and gives. And when I see people that just publicly go on there and just slam him, it's horseshit, and it's frustrating. And that's the big problem that we have right now in this sport is, dude, like I said a while ago, don't bite the hand that feeds you, because when that track ain't open, then what are you going to do?
Yeah, then it's going to get really bad when people are going to say that the track's gone. Oh, it was because of bad promotion and all of that. No. Some racetracks end up closing because of bad promotion. Texana is not going to be one of those places.
No, absolutely not. Because let me tell you, friends, Texana is the one racetrack where they are in such a good place, more than other racetracks where they do have that solid owner. And I think Cord's even looking. He may have already done it. I mean, looking at acquiring additional property over there. I mean, it's a tough fit there. The way that whole thing is set up. But, I mean, looking at doing that, we've seen the improvements with the wall. I mean, the grandstands. I mean, and that's the beauty of what they have going right there, is that they can do capital improvements. I mean, we see so many tracks that are having to do patchwork because they don't own it. You go to that place, if you haven't been there this year, get your ass there towards the end of the year, because it looks totally different than it did last year.
Yeah, and the changes that are being proposed are just going to make that place look even better. They're talking about new restroom facilities, a new press box. That's great for us when we head down there, and our media partners over at Race on Texas. But it continues to be investing in Texana, and it's good to see where it's at. Logistically, it's in a very small rural town by all considerations. I guess it's not as small as Page, Texas, but when you think about Edna, it's in a great location because you don't have a lot of neighbors that get real upset at you. You gotta move a couple of cows out of the way when you get there. But it's in a great spot to where it's literally 2 hours from everywhere. It's 2 hours from Austin. It's 2 hours from San Antonio, 2 hours or so from Corpus, 2 hours or so from Houston. It's literally 2 hours from just about anywhere, and that's why the pits always seem to be pretty full, especially on these Sunday shows.
Yeah, and it was a great show, and again, congratulations to South Texas. I mean, I really like that South Texas is finally getting to get on a run right here, and they're able to get races in, and that's so cool because like I've always said, Corpus Christi to me is actually the racer area in the state of Texas. I mean, there's so many folks that have come out of there and continue to race out of there, and they support whether it be tracks all over the state, and good for them. That track needs to be operating, and I think that everything is finally, I mean, even though we're at the end of the season, it looks like a good momentum, good stuff moving forward. But man, just don't beat up the track. Don't beat up the person that's operating it, because when they decide not to, that sucks.
Yeah, because there's not always going to be somebody else coming in and going to try to do it again.
That's it. I mean, I promise you that whether it be 105, whether it be Owen, Marriott, they are not doing this to set a nest egg away to retire. They are not doing this because, they want to go buy a boat and in 10 years and step away from this. They're doing it for the love of the sport. And it's people like that. And that's where we go back to the whole gist of this rant is, if you have a problem, call Owen or Marianne or Gina or whoever the hell it is, Selby. Deal with them. Don't put it on here. Don't put it on here, because you get it on here and it just takes off. And then everybody piles on that. I don't know. Same shit. Big problem with this sport. Big problem.
Yeah, we see it more and more with the advent of social media. But hopefully it gets nipped in the bud pretty quick and doesn't get one of those campfires turning into a big old forest fire. So
I know.
Hopefully it gets nipped in the bud pretty quick.
Yeah, I know. It's same old stuff, but that's one of those things today where I was already irritated because I was laboring on Labor Day when I wasn't supposed to, and then I saw that and it just kind of set me over the edge. So anyway, sorry about that. But again, take care of those that take care of us. Let's go to the hotlines. Let's go to the Advanced Auto Parts hotline. Let's calm this thing down here just a little bit. And like we talked about, when we get into these races and we see Jeffrey Abbey show up, it's like, oh man, check this out. This is going to be a race for second most likely, and he is on the Advanced Auto Parts hotline. Jeffrey, how you doing, man?
good, man? How are y'all?
Absolutely. We are doing well, my friend. We are doing well. How was your weekend, buddy? What all? I saw some results. What all did you get yourself into this weekend?
Yeah, we actually went to the RPM Speedway. We were driving Billy Vest and Keith Insland's factory stock. So we went down there for the Brian Mize and the Ronnie Sigma Memorial, and we didn't have the best weekend, but we had a lot of fun.
Nice.
So Jeffrey, talk about how you determine where you're gonna. I mean, at one point you were points chasing a lot of stuff with the IMCA points and different stuff like that. But how do you end up determining where you're going to go now versus how you used to choose?
Yeah, in 2015, 2016, and not really in 2017. Mainly those 2 years, I ran Boyd and Kennedale every Friday and Saturday, chasing points. If that deal rained out, we would drive wherever it was racing. If it was New Mexico, we went to New Mexico multiple times those 2 years. I was racing for points and just raced wherever they were racing. Now we kind of slowed down. Don't race for points anymore. Don't like to get caught up in all the point stuff, but we try to hit all the bigger shows that we can and just race and have fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, a lot less of a distraction right there when you're not messing with that. So how to get started for you, man? I mean, we watch you guys. I mean, you like we said, man, y'all are so good in whatever you jump in. How did Jeffrey Abbey get behind the wheel and become such a badass wheelman?
Well, it started. My dad, he started racing when he was, I don't know how old he was when he was start, but he ran a hot stock down there at 281 for a while, and then my two older brothers, they got into go-karts and started running the go-karts, and then went on to race Bandolera and Legend cars on asphalt. When I turned 6, I got a go-kart. So I started in a go-kart when I was 6, ran some Bandolera Legend car stuff after that on asphalt, and then when I was 13, I got in a Southern Sport Mod and been on dirt ever since.
Nice.
That's incredible. 13 on a Southern Sport Mod.
Unbelievable.
So talk about how many races have you got a chance to run up at TMS this year? Talk about those shows that they're having. I know Mother Nature really hit them pretty hard the first couple of races they had, but it seems like now that they've got the weather working with them, seems like they got pretty decent car counts. And, I don't know about the grandstands, but it seems like the cars are definitely there.
Yeah, the TMS deal, it's a really cool thing they got going on there. Barry Braun and the XR crew, I mean, you don't see many shows like that there. They haven't ran a full season there, I don't think, ever at TMS, and they came in there and they're putting on some good money with some good shows, and we've made all the shows they had up there this year, and we've had a lot of fun doing it and have had a lot of success up there. I think we've won four of the Monday night series, and then the Friday and Saturday special. We won both nights of those, so we've had a good year out there in the factory stock. We're looking forward to going out there in a couple weeks and racing for 5,000.
Love it. That's gonna be amazing. So let's talk about those factories, man, because we've had so many guys on here, and that it's a great class to watch, and you have folks that are just converging into this class. Talk about them, man. That they look like they are so damn fun to drive, and a lot of drivers. I mean, you have stacked fields racing for big money. That has to be a pretty cool concept right there to those factory stocks.
Yeah, the money in that class right now, it's crazy. There's so much money to race for all throughout the year, and the cars, there's not a whole lot of technology in them. You can't change much on them. You can't move any of your trailing arms. You don't have weight jacks, so you can change springs, shocks, spacers, and that's about it. So it keeps it pretty even, and it's a lot of fun, a lot of close racing.
So, Jeffrey, would you consider the factory stocks an entry-level class? I mean, we talk about some of these cars selling for 10, 15, 20, hell, even seen a couple of $25,000 factory stocks. I mean, is it still considered an entry-level class in your mind, or has it gone way past that?
It started as an entry-level class when they first came out, but now once you come out putting $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 shows all throughout the year, people are going to build the cars, and there's people all over. There's a lot of good drivers racing the factory stocks, and I wouldn't consider it an entry-level class since all the money shows have been coming up. People have been spending more money building their cars, spend a lot more time doing the research and development side of it, and they've gotten a lot faster since they started.
Yeah, absolutely. So watching you out there, man, I've called several of your races, but I mean, to watch you out there, man, you are a master when you get behind the wheel. It doesn't matter what you're driving. Talk about your style. I mean, it seems like you can be you're like aggressive when you need to be, but you can methodically work through the field. I mean, just talk about the different elements that make you such a great driver.
Yeah, running for the points deal, you have to be real conservative, but you still got to work your way to the front. You can't tear up your equipment. You got to have consistent finishes. So that's kind of my driving style. I like the dry, slick, smooth tracks. We're decent on the heavy stuff, but man, when it gets slick, we really like that. Just got to be patient, stay calm, and work your way to the front as you can without tearing up your equipment.
Nice.
So you talk about like in the dry stick class, dry stick tracks rather. Is it weird to you that you're running asphalt pull-offs on a high dollar and super fast dirt car?
Well, that's one thing that's good about the factory stock classes. Those tires, they're cheap. They're a lot cheaper than a G60 you're buying for $125, $130 a piece.
Yeah. yeah, absolutely. So no doubt about that. So how cool is it for you? I mean, because you've been to the upper echelon. You've done all of this, man. Is it getting away from the point stuff and all of this? Has it gotten more fun? Is it more fun doing it this way, or the pressure cooker of whatever series it may be? Which one really drives you better?
I liked racing for points. It was a lot of fun. The one downside about racing for points is you had to be there every Friday and Saturday, the same two tracks, running against the same guys all year. Now I can go all over the place, race for more money, race with new cars, race tracks I've never been to, and man, I've really enjoyed it the last few years, just traveling around racing everywhere I can.
I bet.
So can you pick a favorite track? I mean, without throwing shade at another track. I mean, do you like running Cotton Bowl because it's fast? You like running Kennedale because it's close? You like running Boyd because it's a quarter mile? You got one that when you circle on the calendar, you're like, hell yeah, I like going to this joint.
Yep. Southern Oklahoma Speedway in Ardmore, Oklahoma, man. That place, it's kind of a haul for us from Belton, but we got a lot of fun racing out there. It's always a good track, good people. We always have a lot of fun going down there.
Yeah. I've heard a lot of good things. About that track. So for you nowadays, is the factory stock the favorite, or on dirt which is your favorite? If it's the only one you could drive, they said, Jeffrey, you got to just drive this one class. Which one would it be?
Well, I made my first late model start Saturday night at RPM. I ran Tom Earl's late model.
I saw that. Yeah.
That thing, I think, was pretty fun, but I've only had one night in that. I had a lot of fun doing that, but if I had to pick, I think it would still be the IMCA stock car. That class is growing around here. You can take the same car, same rules package, and you can race Wisconsin, you can race California, you can go to North Dakota, Minnesota. You can race that thing in any state in the country almost, and take the same exact car you race down here on a weekly basis and go up there and be competitive, just because IMCA's rules package it keeps it all even. I mean, there's some things I would change, but all in all, I don't have any complaints about it really. I mean, it's a good solid rules package, and keeps the racing good, and got a lot of fun racing those stock cars. Yeah,
I'm glad you mentioned that, because those stock cars, man, they're pretty badass. I mean, I love that class. And talk about that, because IMCA's done a really good job for a long time, because I know on the asphalt side, it's like, stuff just fell apart, but IMCA does a great job of really doing that, whether it be policing rules, whatever it is. They do a great job of keeping this a somewhat equal playing field all across the country.
Yeah, for sure. IMCA, they do a good job keeping everybody on the same playing field, so you can go and compete no matter where you're from, where you race. If you're going to an IMCA show, you're gonna be racing against the same stuff you are.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
That's kind of like the factory stock deal, the USRA deal, and the Arklatex rules. They've kind of separated. This car I ran this weekend, it's got a crate motor, so I can only run it in USRA. Like TMS, they go off USRA rules, but I can't take it to Arklatex shows. But I don't know. That's one of the complaints about the factory stock class is the split in the two the rule sets. But it's not too bad. You can build a legal Arklatex car and go and run with the USRA guys, no problem. But the crate motor, I wouldn't say it's a downfall at no means. It's a good motor. They run good. It's more affordable option for some of the guys that don't want to spend all the money on a new open motor for the factory stocks. But all in all, it's the sanctioning bodies. They got to keep this thing on a level playing field.
Yeah.
Whether they enforce their rules in different ways or however they do it, they just need to get on the same page so you can take the same car everywhere, kind of like the IMCA stuff, and race wherever you want.
That's right. Great point.
So Jeffrey, speaking of racing wherever you want, now I'm getting older. My memory might not be exactly what it was, but didn't you get a chance to run a truck race at Eldora?
Yeah, I've actually made 3 starts in the truck series at Eldora, and then I made a truck start at Martinsville.
Nice.
So how'd that go for you?
Oh, the first year at Eldora, we were running really good. We were teamed up with Nice when they were just getting started out, and we went down to Buda and met Al at his construction company, and became really good friends with him and his wife, and met Cody, and went up there and ran that first deal, and we were running 5th or 6th, I think, with about 10 to go, and we had a restart, and I got into the backstretch wall a little bit and knocked her end over to the left, and I think we ended up finishing 14th. The next 2 years, we didn't do near as good. The second year, we got tore up in the first stage pretty early. And, just never could really come back from that.
Yeah.
Martinsville, it was a lot of fun. It was different going back to the asphalt from the dirt stuff. We didn't do as good as we had liked, but we had a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah. So how is that? I mean, when you step away, I mean, these are big dirt shows. I mean, everything that's going on around here. But when you step away and you do those truck series races, I mean, is it a culture shock? Do you ever just look around and say, geez, what in the hell did I get myself into? I mean, there's so many other things that you have to deal with other than just racing the truck.
Yeah, it was a really cool experience for sure. We were blessed to be able to do that. Going to Eldora, we left the airport, got in a rental car, and we were driving. It was cornfields everywhere, all around us, and all of a sudden it was just this huge place, campers everywhere, people everywhere. This amazing facility, one of the top-notch, the nicest facilities I've been to, and it was really cool. It was a lot of fun.
I bet.
So Jeffrey, is that something that you still aspire to do, but running more NASCAR races? Was that what you intended to do when you were chasing points? Maybe eventually move up to one of NASCAR's Big 3 series?
Well, I think every young racer wants to do that, but then you get to the point and everybody's paying for those rides, and we got pretty fortunate, and we were able to get in with Al when they were just starting out, and had a good opportunity there, and ran some races with them and had a lot of fun doing it while we could. But they had a lot of people come in wanting to pay for rides, pay to race, and
yeah.
So we went back to the dirt stuff and ran what we could.
Yeah, that makes it tough. So the rest of the year, let me ask you. So we've watched all these, the factory stock power rankings and all of that. You pay any mind to that? I mean, you just show up and win. And I see these guys where they're trying to do formulas and all this, and it's like, your thoughts on that? I think that's kind of spiced it up a little bit here in Texas, Louisiana, and so forth.
Yeah, that's a cool thing Race on Texas is doing there. It's there's never really been a point system to follow the factory stock class, and when they came out with that this year, I thought that was pretty cool. I haven't looked at it a whole lot. I've seen I was in second or third the last time, and I heard there was a chance I could be in the lead, but I'm sure this weekend didn't help that much with the finishes we had at RPM.
Yeah, absolutely. Good stuff.
So what's next for you on the calendar? Obviously, this is big money, big time show season coming up here. You obviously ran the one at RPM. Isn't that a great place? That place, the Kevins do such a great job over there and all that. But what's next on the big calendar for you coming up here in the next couple of weeks?
This weekend we're gonna be at Kennedale. We're gonna race our stock car for 1,000 win Friday night, and then we're gonna get back in Tom Earl's late model with the DFW series on Saturday night.
Nice.
And then the following weekend, the whole week at TMS, we're not gonna be able to make all week, so we got a wedding to go to that following Saturday, so we're not gonna be able to run the main show, but we'll be there for the Monday series points race for that 5,000, and then plan to hit all the local big shows in the stock car, and then in October we're gonna go to Batesville for the 50,000 win stock car race.
Love it. Yeah, absolutely. It is big money time. Jeffrey, you are the man, dude. Like I said, you show up and I'm calling a race. I'm like, okay, it's gonna be 37. I know what's about to happen here, man. Congratulations, dude. You put on one hell of a show, and we appreciate you jumping on with us tonight.
Yep, thank y'all for having me.
Absolutely, man. Anytime, just let us know if we can help you out.
Yes, sir. Thank y'all.
You bet. You got it. There he is, Jeffrey Abbey. And seriously, that's he shows up. I mean, look at that picture. Damn. That car is laying over, and I mean he really is just so good, and he just I like to watch a guy race because it is. I mean, he can turn it on when he has to, but he's so smart, you know, to where if he has to lay it back a little bit, he'll do that, and that's so important in this class because there are so many of these factory stocks.
It really is. I mean, there's a ton of it. I think he's able to cross over. He's really good in that stock car.
Yeah,
like
he
you
is,
said
man.
back a couple of years
Really
ago when he
is.
was chasing the points. There are some takeaways from a factory stock to a stock car. Not completely similar machines, but when you talk about the basics of the geometry and different stuff like that, there's a lot of stuff that crosses over from the stock car to the factory stock. And so I think because he had such good success there, the fact that the factory stocks is all about trying to get the power to the ground, what little bit of power you have.
Right.
That's why the shocks are so damn expensive in the factory stock.
Yeah.
When you think about the way that IMCA's clamped down on the rules for the stock cars, while you got to find a way to work, those are really, to me, even calling races, obviously never got to drive one, but they seem like they're really momentum-based cars.
Yeah.
More so than just your typical dirt cars. You've got to get a good run coming off the corner to set up some stuff down the straightaway. So I think that him, with his success that he had in the stock car, able to transition that over to a factory stock. And now he's really damn good in both. And hell, now he ends up in a late model too.
Yeah, and that really is the point. I mean, if you watch these cars, I mean, it is about the momentum. I mean, you have to keep going. That's why these restarts are so good because they take off and then you pile them all up like cup racing. I mean, you pile them all up because the momentum is gone. But to sit there and watch some of these guys, and there's a whole technique to it. I mean, I'm sure that when you factor in a gear ratio, because you can change all of that. But, to get the gear in there, to just be able to navigate that car around and just set it like we watched Memphis over in Mobile, with his and he won. By the way, Memphis wins on the dirt at South Texas. So to just watch that momentum-driven race, I mean, that's what's so cool. And what I like about those cars, like you were saying, Bobby, is you don't hear, when they hit the gas, you don't hear that thing open up. I mean, you don't hear that just, you don't hear it because they can't do it. And I really think that makes that such a great option for dirt track racing.
Yeah, I think it does. I mean, I think that I don't want to say that the factory stocks are getting out of control, but right now with the money races,
they are. Yeah.
I mean, when the money, people are building factory stock, purpose-built factory stock cars to go out and win all these big money races. And there's nothing against the guys that are doing that. But now you've got this IMCA stock car class over here, the I stocks, as we call them down here. They're just kind of sitting back in the corner, kind of waving back, saying, "Hey, don't forget about us."
Yeah, yeah.
But at the same time, the focus is clearly on the factory stocks. But I mean, hell, when tracks are paying $4,000, $5,000,
yeah,
$10,000,
sure, man.
$15,000 to win for a factory stock race, hell, that is where all the momentum's going to go. That's where all the eyeballs are going to go.
Absolutely. And the thing about it is, I mean, it's kind of hurting the other classes as well because you have folks that, step out of whether it be a IMCA modified or a USRA modified or Sport Mod Limited modified or whatever it is, and they jump into these. And, you see folks with their brand new, factory stock chassis, and it's like, man, that is a thing of beauty right there. And it seriously correlates to me when I watch this, what I'm seeing with this. To me, it's back to the whole super stock thing. I mean, it's back from, building a car in the garage or building the car in the shop to going and paying somebody to build this for you. And it's just the whole progression of the way that this works. And I'm sure that there's going to be that's not a sanctioned class, so to dial that back in, I don't know. But I agree with you that the stock cars are sitting back there saying, we're still doing what we've been doing for a long time, and that's why I revert back to, man, give me an IMCA stock car, man. I would love to go racing in one of those.
I think it'd be a lot of fun, but nothing against the factory stock guys, like the guys
not
that
at
have
all,
the
not at
shocks,
all. No, for sure.
The guys that sell shocks, hey, if the market's there, go for it. A free market racing. That's what we love about it. The guys that are building the chassis, that their business is nothing but factory stock chassis. Hell yeah, go for it. I mean, that's free enterprise in racing, and that's what it's all about. But occasionally, it seems like we've talked about it before. There is nothing hardly entry level about the factory stock class anymore. It's just it almost should be called a pro stock class instead of a factory stock.
And that's the thing, because now we're back to the point again with the factory stock where you can go to whatever track it is and you sit out there and you watch, and you can definitely see the purpose-built factory stock versus, whether it be a converted asphalt car or whatever it may be, or a home built, I mean, whatever, you can definitely tell the difference. And that's where you get to the point where, Okay, this is where it's at some point you got to watch that fine line in there, because what's so different about these cars, different but not different, because this reverts back to asphalt, is that you can build one. You can't sit here and jack around and dick around with motors and do all of this, or at least you're not supposed to. But then you go back to the shocks, and that was the downfall of the asphalt. Super stock, street stock, whatever you want to call it. And that's where I worry that that's what this is. But I don't know, that more of them keep showing up. So, but it's guys that come down, and that's great. Come down if you can't afford to race in the other class, but it makes it tough for that factory stock class.
It does, but I mean, I think that's the nature of the beast, and the way that the circle of life, the evolution of a stock car class, or when I say stock car, not necessarily the IMCA stock cars, but the evolution of a racing series class has always been the same thing. And what we've seen, I think, is the guys, it's not so much that they can't afford to run the big mods, or they can't afford to run the sport mods or IMCA, limited modified, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
It's not that they can't afford to run those. It's just that they're chasing the money for the factory stocks.
Yeah.
And you're a promoter. I mean, you're going to want to have a boatload of factory stocks at your racetrack battling for $5,000, because even if it's a $5,000 payout to win, with all the pit passes that are getting sold and all the people paying registration fees and entry fees and all that, hell, it's a chance for your track to make money, and that's good for the promoters too.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. I mean, people are going to show up to see them because it's such a great draw. Because now the thing is, I mean, this whole thing we're talking about with this factory stock up power ranking thing. I mean, how many drivers are they talking about that they're doing there? I mean, there's so many of them, and it's a good. What I like about the concept of it is that it does give drivers an alternative to not being in the limited modified or the sport mod or the iStock or whatever the hell it is. But it at the same time, a lot of guys bring that technology into the stock car class, and it really is. I mean, I'm sorry, it's asphalt racing. I mean, it's really what it is. I mean, it's the asphalt concept. I mean, I see it. I've watched it year after year after year. It's the same shit.
It always is. I mean, it's racing, right? It's the same thing. Racing is nothing but a bunch of history repeating itself over and over and over. The cycle of a racing generation is what, 9 years?
Mm-hmm.
When you see somebody start when they're a teenager, they have kids, then they drop off. Then all of a sudden, about 9 to 10 years later, here comes the kid racing in go-karts or the flat track little quarter midgets, whatever the case may be. You see that same thing with the class, the racing class. All the lower level classes always want to be the next level class.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't. It's been, especially in asphalt. You had the Nova that wanted to run like a Camaro, so they kept wanting to get more weight brakes and weight jacks and everything else like the Camaro. Well, then the Camaros wanted to get more and more stuff like the super stock, like the late model stuff like that. So they gave them aftermarket bodies. They gave them the aftermarket shocks, all that stuff. Well, then that's when it started outpacing itself with the cost of it. And we've seen it in asphalt all the time. So you went from a car that's supposed to be a remotely stock street stock class. Next thing you know, it's a limited late model.
Yeah. Well, and then you got smart and figured out how to put a Camaro stub on a Nova, with a unibody there. I mean, you just cut the front stub off and then put a Camaro. And I like what Zach is saying there. And Zach Clark, thanks for checking in right there. I know that it was never designed to be entry level. I think it was designed to be an alternative. And I love the concept of the alternative, because for me, what it does for me as a race fan, the factory stock to me brings back that stock thing that I've been just dying to see on the asphalt side in a long time. And I think that's where a lot of the crossover from, guys like Alan Alexander and these guys that are jumping over and doing this stuff, is that it does kind of bring that street stock feel back in. But at the same time, it brings a street stock feel back in to where you can, and that's great. I mean, get the chassis built. That's really good, but everything escalates. It all escalates, and I still go back to let's mention there about the iStocks. These guys have been running all around the country for a long time for a hell of a lot of money, and the iStock still sits there and just runs, and it stays very, very competitive. It's two great classes, two really good classes, although they do kind of look alike.
They do a little bit, but I mean, you can tell.
You can tell the difference.
between
You can tell the
between an
difference.
iStock and a factory stock.
Yeah. Yeah, you certainly can. So for you, I mean, which one do you prefer? I mean, hell, I drive either one. Guys, I would drive either one of those. But I don't know, man. I really started leaning towards Joe Spillman's favorite class. I really started leaning towards the iStocks. I just love, not that I could go race all over the country, but I just think that that's pretty badass.
The stock car races are a little bit more fun to call depending on what track you're at. Because when they get the momentum done coming back and forth on some of the restarts and they go 3, 4, 5 wide, you also see that in the factory stock too. I think the challenge with the factory stocks is there's always so damn many of them. From the announcing perspective, it's having to learn so many different drivers. When you got 30 to 35 cars showing up at each race, it becomes a challenge to call versus when you're having to learn 18 to 20 drivers in the stock car class.
Yeah. Aaron Brungot checks in over 900 drivers that they're tracking. And it's so and again, I talked a while ago about Memphis Villarreal. I mean, this is a guy where you give this guy a big shout out because he's the one that transitions back and forth and jumps back in that factory stock. Hadn't been in that car for a while, gets back in, goes to South Texas and wins. And that's where I'd like to see. I don't know. I still have these high hopes that we could get a factory stock race on pavement, but that's a whole different story for another show and a different time. But I just I don't know. Both of these classes just give us that feel, and they're both thriving. I think that's the most important thing. We can sit here and say which is better. Do you like this one? Do you like that one? Doesn't really matter. They're both doing well, and when you look at it as a promoter, a fan, or racing enthusiast, whatever, to see them both drawing a shitload of cars to every track, hell, that's all you want.
What's the difference between a fan and a racing enthusiast? That's a new word for you. It's not you didn't use conducive tonight.
Not conducive tonight. Racing enthusiast would be someone that maybe is not a fanatic. Fan is short for fanatic, but racing enthusiast is someone, that kind of follows along and, likes it a little bit. I think that you like that one. That's a new word. I learned that one the other day.
Maybe we have to keep using it. Maybe a racing enthusiast.
Racing enthusiast.
Kind of like we call ourselves motorsports personalities instead of racing announcers.
Yeah. I'm just a racing guy. I'm just a racing guy is what I am. But good stuff right there. We can continue that debate right there. Good stuff. I love that. And Jeffrey Abbey, just a great conversation. But, man, this is a massive week. There you see it right there. It is the second annual Texas Truck Challenge coming up at Houston Motorsports Park with the Gulf Coast Racing Series. I love the way the purse is scheduled this year or balanced out a little bit better. That was the one thing that we got a lot from last year. It was $10,000 to win, then it kind of fell flat on its face, but now $5,000 for second, $2,500 for third. So, you got to like that because that's going to bring some folks. That's going to bring some folks. And when they show up, they're going to be chasing the guy that put $10,000 in his pocket last year as the winner of the inaugural Texas Truck Challenge. And he is on the Advanced Auto Parts Hotline with us tonight, Bobby. It is the Hurricane Mason Teague. Mason, how are we, my man?
Hey, good, guys.
He's all calm. Listen to him. Shit. He's
Yeah.
You ready, man?
But we had.
Sorry, Bobby. Go ahead.
Yeah. We're excited. Looking forward to it.
I was gonna say we haven't seen you since they won at $10,000. I know they tore down the motor and stuff like that, but where you been hiding, man? I mean, have you just been you only running these big $high shows now? You getting big and fancy on this, buddy?
No, family takes most of my time up nowadays, so it's only the big races that we can pull it out and get it ready for.
Yeah.
We ran one a few weeks back with my dad in the truck at Mobile, so we made the trip down there and had some fun with Gina and them.
Yeah. I got to talk to him down there. I mean, his thoughts on that. I mean, that had to rekindle some old memories for him. The big old half-mile high bank. I bet that kind of got the old man excited a little bit.
It did. I kind of had to push him at the beginning to get him to go, but yeah, it's brought back some memories to San Antonio for him, and he picked up right where he left off. He didn't miss a beat. Missed a shift, but didn't miss a beat.
Love it. It's good stuff. Been
Stuff
there.
breaking there for the Star Chaser. Your dad actually texted me earlier today. He's like, "What time is the show start again?" I'm assuming that's before I found out you were going to be on. So I figured when your old man texted me, that's when you were going to be lined up as a guest today. But so talk about the preparation for this race. You said that you don't get a chance to move it on a lot because you got the kids and the family now and kids in the picture. And so what did you guys change from Mobile to get it ready? And then what have you changed from Mobile to get it ready for this big money race in Houston?
Mainly just mobiles, a couple spring changes, and mainly gear change. But really, to get it ready, just go through the truck, nut and bolt everything, make sure that we're on our toes with everything. Jake with Kruger Motorsports comes by the shop when he has some free time himself to help us get it going as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So talk about this one, Mason. Coming into this, you've got there's some big hitters that are supposed to be showing up, and I mean, I just love that you guys, you still do this the old-fashioned way. I know last year we sat around and looked at your transmission over there after you had pulled that out, sitting there leaking oil everywhere. I mean, you guys, you still do it the right way, man. How exciting is it to get to do this again? And you guys just you got the same guys and just coming back to defend that title.
It is, man. It's a good time, Rodney, getting the old group, like you said, the old group of guys back together. I think all the same people have been in the page for at least 15 years. But game plan really is just to stay humble and focused. Like you said, it's a big change this year than last year. I know last year we were competing with Five Flags Championship night, and I don't think we are this year. So feel some heavy hitters will probably be coming from Mobile, Pensacola area. And you can probably throw a blanket over the top 8 trucks, to be honest with you.
Absolutely.
So, Mason, this will be your first time, I guess technically second time, with your dad running the truck on these American racers. You've run Hoosiers forever. What's been your first take on having to use these American racer tires over the Hoosier tires?
I've gotten some feedback from a couple different people. It seems that they
Track
they
Racing
last
Series
a lot
presented
longer.
by Advance Auto Parts.
Oops, sorry about that.
Stephen
Mason.
Davis.
Over here messing
John
around
Heil.
with video.
40.
You're good. Sorry.
No worries. So the American racers, I haven't had a chance to run on them myself, but I have heard that there's less fall off on them, and they do last longer throughout the race. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a good time. So, I mean, reflect back. I mean, last year, I mean, there were a lot of things that went on, and I think you hit the nail on the head. I mean, last year there were other races that were going on, but this year it's pretty open, and I think that folks have actually circled this date on the calendar, and it's going to be guys that are really wanting to come over here and have a good time in Texas.
There is, Rodney, there is. And even some of the guys from last year that had some issues, like Jake Wright, I think it had some issues during the race, and Logan Boyette. Those are all guys to not really count out, man. And I say top 8, there'll probably be a good 10, 12 trucks that are within thousandths of a second off of one another for it. But yeah, we're just going to come bring the same legal parts that we brought last year and stay humble and focused and have a good, clean race.
Nice.
So the truck, has it added any pressure for you for being the defending champion of this when you won the inaugural one? I mean, I know you don't pay attention to a lot of the stats and stuff like that. You just take it race by race. But any pressure coming back into this one to try to double up on this deal?
Bobby, there's always a little bit of pressure, right? When you come and you're expected to run good, but no, I mean, just staying humble and focused, and just making sure the truck's right and everything is up to par, and we should be okay.
Yeah, I totally agree. And so for you, I mean, a big part of the way that you have always raced, I mean, back in the day when I raced with you, we were talking to Jeffrey Abbey a while ago, you were just so steady, and you take care of the equipment. And talk about that. I mean, I know a lot of that is because, again, when you have a team it's a family team, you can't go out there and tear your shit up, so you have to be smarter. Talk about the important part of that in this race, because it's a long way, and there's going to be a lot of stuff happening throughout that race.
It is, Rodney. Key part is get a good qualifying start.
Yep.
Qualifying is going to be key to not be in the back of the squirrels and to be towards the front. But it is a long race. There's 75 laps. So hopefully there's not as many cautions as there was last year, but there is going to be some riding and not going as hard. And yeah, just taking care of your equipment and driving everybody else how you want to be driven to be able to make it to the end, to capitalize on that.
That's right.
So are you bringing Arden's truck as a backup has a backup truck just in case? I mean, I don't want to wish you any will about having to get a second truck, but I know Arden's off in Louisiana and he's got a pretty good looking piece over there. You going to bring that one just in case? Maybe put your dad in that one?
I think Arden's actually going to take the day off to make it down for that race with his truck. But we've actually purchased a second truck to add to the Team Teague Racing stable, and there will be. I'm not going to announce any names or anything, but there's going to be a hot shoe in it this weekend driving it. So look forward to that, and keep your eyes open for that one.
Damn, you said hot shoe. I was going to go dig my helmet out. Never mind. Okay. So talking about this race, Mason, how hard is it? Because you talked about qualifying. This race, you're going to when you do qualifying, it's going to be in the heat of the day. I mean, it's going to be hot as hell out there on Saturday. Talk about that. So you have to adjust. I mean, just like we see on NASCAR, you're going to have to qualify in the heat of the day. Then you have to adjust it back because it'll be substantially cooler by the end of the night.
Yeah, I think Friday practice, I'm not too sure on the times, but I believe it'll be in the heat of the day on Friday for practice. So that should give us a pretty good idea and a game plan to go in for qualifying on Saturday.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, after qualifying, we will have to make some adjustments for the truck for the night race when it does cool off.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Say, I didn't figure you were one for too much practice. You are going all in this weekend, aren't you? You're going to show up for practice on Friday, try to win the big race on Saturday? Look at you moving up in the world trying to practice on Friday.
Man, Bobby, we always show up and practice on Fridays. I don't ever think I'm too good for practice, man. Nobody can ever run enough laps.
Ain't that the truth? Yeah.
But like you guys said, it's been right at a year since I've been in the truck. It seems like it's that way every time with having a family. But yeah, no, I definitely need to shake the dust off on Friday in practice.
Yeah, yep, absolutely. So, I mean, your thoughts overall. I mean, you sit back, and how long did it take you once you? I mean, I know we talked to you after that race, but the fact that you won the biggest asphalt race in the state of Texas in a long time last year, man. How long did it take you to finally let that sink in and realize what you accomplished on that night 1 year ago?
Honestly, I don't know that it ever really sunk in, Rodney. It is a really cool accomplishment.
Yeah.
And coming back this year for the second annual, I want to go get it on the track.
Yeah.
And show all the fans.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that.
So when you load it up on Friday and you put it in the trailer, what's the mindset? Is it just going to be sit and wait for the money to come to you, or you just want to go balls to the wall the whole time?
Now, like I said at the beginning, man, we're just there to have a good time, short track racing with family, friends, honoring God while we do it, and not here to build a racing business or anything. I'm in the process of building a family. We actually, a good little bit of news. I've got a baby girl due in September.
Love it.
So September 16th. But no, we're just coming to show up and have fun racing with a good group of guys.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is much more important. I love that. I love that outlook, because that racing is great, but I mean, that family, that is what is so important. Talk about the business, man. How's everything going for you there? I mean, you're an independent businessman, and that's quite the leap of faith right there. When you jump out and you're doing that on your own, that takes some big old balls. Racing those trucks takes some balls, but being a businessman, that's a whole nother set.
I appreciate that, Rodney. Yeah, man. Business, the Hurricane Automotive's doing great. We've thrived through the pandemic. Actually picked up quite a few fleet accounts.
Awesome.
I'm just waiting on the government to quit giving out all this damn money so I can find some good help.
Good luck with that.
But outside of that, man, business is great. Business is great.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So let's talk about the race team as a whole. Like Rodney said, you've had the same core group of guys forever. Rodney and I have been known to have a couple adult beverages with you and your team after the races a time or two. But talk about that core group of guys that you've had forever helping you out.
And yeah, there's probably just 7 or 8 solid guys that have
Yep.
been with me since I started racing. Well, hell, since my dad started racing in the 80s,
Yeah.
when Thunder Hill first up.
Yeah.
In 99. The same group of guys have been running around the racetrack with us. Half of them work at the city of Austin altogether. And then majority, I think half the guys come to the shop, and not only do they help me on the race car, but they also help me with my business when I'm shorthanded as well.
It's awesome.
So just a solid group of guys, man. Really, it's hard. And I say friends. They're all more like family.
Yeah.
And they'd all give the shirt off their back to help anyone.
Yeah. You guys are family. There is no doubt about that. There is no doubt about that. Just watching all you guys, and they are so proud of everything that you have done and what Jim has done. I mean, it's so cool. It's so cool. And I was laughing the other night, or not the other night, but when Jim was racing, I think I called him Mason a couple of times, and then I shifted back, and hell, then I called him Butch. Butch T. Like,
what's funny is he's actually listening in too. We had sent a motor off to have it refreshened, and he was actually the one that brought it to us to make it. And the motor just recently got put back in, so he'll actually be there this weekend. There'll be my son, my dad, and then my pawpaw. So there'll be 4 generations of us.
Dude, that's kick-ass.
Pretty cool.
That is kick-ass right there, man. Congratulations on that win last year, dude. Thanks for taking the time and jumping on tonight, and look forward to seeing you here in a couple of days, man.
I do have a few sponsors that I'd like
Absolutely.
to give a shout out.
Have at it, man.
Bighorn Construction, good friend Bubba Nauman. He's jumped on board and helped out quite a bit. Selman Specialties, Jacob Selman, another buddy of mine.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, my own Hurricane Automotive. Jake Kruger with Kruger Motorsports for always doing a badass job on the setup and just keeping everything A1. Gina and Bo, obviously for putting on the big money show and allowing us all to come out and be able to race. And one more shout out. I'm actually going to dedicate this race to late brother-in-law Kevin. He actually lost his battle to cancer, so this one's for him.
Yeah, love it. Love it. One more reason, man. One more reason to go over there and take that trophy, take that money, and do it again, my brother. I'm excited, buddy. Can't wait to see you there. It's going to be a fun weekend.
Absolutely. I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for having me on.
All right, man. Anytime. Take care, man. We'll see you this weekend.
Yes, sir.
You bet. Here he is, Hurricane Mason Teague. He interviews like Brad Keselowski. You notice that?
He does, doesn't he?
He does.
Really does.
He does. Yeah, I mean that dude. He texts me today and he's like, "Okay, what do I need to be prepared for?" It's like, you know how this goes. But man, so well spoken, and
on his game too. I tried to throw him off of his game a time or two, but he's getting seasoned as talking to us on the show. He's been on the show a couple of times before, but
well, he wins all these.
Look at him.
Yeah, he wins all these.
Growing up, man.
Wins all these
no
big ass races.
means, but...
Yeah, he wins all these big ass races. I mean, that's a reason to jump on there. And again, we will have the winner on next Monday, most likely. But again, he's the defending champion of that race. There it is. It really is. I mean, it's the baddest ass race that we have had here in a long time. I know there's a lot of big dirt races, and no disrespect to all of those great races that are put on, but this one right here, just the fact that you've got, I really think, and the forecast is great, and like he talked about, we're not dealing with the 5 flags thing. I really think that this year there are going to be some big hitters that are coming, and I think it's going to just be a fantastic weekend over in Houston.
I think it will be. I mean, I think obviously you're going to have the Mobile effect. I mean, that Gulf Coast truck race that they had at Mobile that one night that had unbelievable. What it have 25, 30 trucks that night.
Yeah.
They were all battling for the Gulf Coast Championship points. I mean, I think you're going to see the Mobile effect come in. You're going to see a bunch of guys from Mobile, a bunch of guys from Northern Florida, maybe even a couple of guys from the Midwest from some of the rumblings that we've heard. With some of the guys that are, looking at the rules and wanted to bring some of their Midwest trucks down here. So it runs the risk of being probably the biggest race since we talked about it last year. It's the biggest race here since the Big Shot. But the difference is we know the checks are going to clear and the money's going to clear the bank on these.
Yeah, it does. It is right there along with that one, with what the Big Shot was. And I think this is the thing about it. I've talked to them and them being Gina and Bo and everybody there. What's going to be the maximum start? I mean, that's a wider racetrack right there. I just think that it's going to be a good weekend of racing to where asphalt racing is going to get to be showcased on a really, really great racetrack. And I think that maybe that could be the shot in the arm that'll help. pavement racing in Houston, I mean, it's a challenge to run there. I mean, there's so many things. I mean, that is a very successful drag racing facility. And, for the folks that want more races, it's like they're just not there. And if you can do races like this, I think this is where it'll really, I don't know if it's going to grow it across the state of Texas, but it'll put a big spotlight on it because there's going to be a lot of coverage, I think, on this race around the country.
Yeah, I think more people know about it this year than last year. With this, like I said, it's been on the calendar for a hot minute, and it's been the one. I mean, it's on the 20th anniversary of 9/11, so there's going to be all kind of patriotism shown for it. But I think that the key to this race is going to be, the key to it's going to end up being not only the qualifying, but how well your truck is prepared. And I'm not talking about setup wise or anything else like that. I'm talking about the wear and tear of 75 laps at Houston Motorsports Park. That track is tough. Yeah. And it has, we've seen all kind of things happen during 75 lap pro late model races. We've seen it happen during super late model races. The track is the other element that people don't give the track enough credit for being that extra element that it needs to be.
Yeah. And I think this is where, the guys that have run the American racers and this tire shortage thing continues. And I was talking to someone, earlier in the or into last week, and asking about this tire shortage thing. I said, this is a real thing. I mean, this isn't something that's being made up. I mean, we're seeing races canceled, we're seeing series races canceled, and I think for folks that may have been able to get a grasp on the American racer, but the other counter argument to that is you haven't had a lot of time to really dial in the American racer at Houston because it's been, weather plagued throughout the year. But I think there's so many storylines here, and just with the folks coming in and talking there to Mason. I mean, he's so steady. We're about to talk to Logan here in just a minute. I mean, this guy is so dialed in and so good wherever he's at. We'll talk to the showstopper. He is like the king of Houston right now. But there are outliers that are going to come in, and this is really playing up, man. I'm so excited for this race. I think this year it falls into line a hell of a lot nicer than last year.
It really does. I think it works better for us in terms of being able to help cover it. I mean, obviously, we're a very big media partner with the Gulf Coast Racing Series, and we enjoy that position. But it's nice to be able to sit back and think about it from the fan perspective too, because it's going to be a hell of a race. I mean, if the Mobile Gulf Coast Racing Series Championship, the Gulf Coast Race Truck Series, has been any indication of what to expect, I'm really excited about the product I'm going to see on the racetrack on Saturday night.
Well, and I think it's a big deal for the Houston race fans because they've wanted racing. Obviously, they want more races. We had one that folks didn't show up for, but that's okay. But I do think kind of what we were talking about first part of the show with the cancellation of the races on this past weekend. I think that honestly, I thought the back-to-back to me was going to be more detrimental because you have folks that are going to come out and maybe they can't come out this weekend. And again, it's not this huge $100 ticket to get in the door. I mean, it's like regular price. But I do think that you're able to build the build-up for this race much bigger, being that it's a standalone when we didn't run the week before. And I think that's going to correlate to the grandstands. I mean, it's going to be hot. I mean, they had 101,000 people at DKR this weekend, and they were sitting out there, and that's one of the things that people need to be prepared for. But I think that you're going to go to Houston, and you're going to watch a lot of really, really good truck racers and other classes, but this could be one of the marquee races in the country by the time we're all said and done with 2021.
I hope it will be. And I'm hoping you see some of the crossovers. Hopefully we'll get a couple more outlaws from the East Coast, from the Mobile area coming down to run. I mean, I'd love to see good racing in all the classes. I mean, we got really good support classes coming with the Eco Stocks always bring a hell of a show. There should be a bunch of those. And so I'm anticipating those guys bringing a bunch of cars, bringing a really good entertaining show. Then you've got the whole entertaining portion of, you've got the super stocks and the outlaws, and then you've got the pro mods have always been on point. They've put on really good shows there at Houston. So you may even get a couple of those guys to show up off the East Coast. So it's going to be a lot of fun this weekend. I'm really looking forward to it.
Jake Kruger checks in on the on my actual phone, and he says, "Get the Cupid Shuffle ready." Oh man, these guys are planning to win. These guys are planning to win.
I wonder if he's the hot shoe that they're going to put in that second truck.
I don't know. And Mason says, "Baby girl is actually doing November, not September." Come on, man. That's okay. Baby girl is still due, though. He mentioned it. That's most important. That's
best thing for he mentioned it. That's good, right? He's nervous about the race, so if he got the due date wrong, that's all right.
Yeah. It's going to be a good thing. It's going to be a good thing. But I'm really excited. I think that we're going to see some really good competition out there.
I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm still thinking that Jake Kruger is going to be the hot shoe in that second team racing truck. Not that we have any breaking news about it, but I feel like I'm snooping and connecting the dots on it, and that's going to be end up being the hot shoe that's in that race truck.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. You have to think about guys. I mean, think about the guys last year. I mean, we had some guys. We had some invaders that came in and really did a great job in that race, and I think that's something that really helps the race this year is that folks understand when it comes to the tech side. I know that was a question last year, but folks know that. I mean, they're not that they're going to be fishing, but they're going to try to keep this as fair as possible.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to check every nut and bolt. That's what they did last year, every nut and bolt of a transmission.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see. But I can tell you one of the guys, and yeah, maybe Corey Roper will be back. We'll keep our eye on that one throughout the week. But I know somebody that will be back, and I know that this dude wants to come back and that he wants to take care of business in Texas. And it's one of our favorite guys on the Advanced Auto Parts Hotline, Logan Boyette, checking in. Logan, you ready to head back to Texas, my man?
Yeah, we're pretty close to ready. Gerald, Boyd Race Cars, he got the truck finished up for me, and all we've got to do is wipe down the interior, wipe down the exterior, and load it up in my spotter outlaw car owner Mark Miles' trailer. And we're heading out Thursday afternoon, trying to leave here between 12 and 3 p.m. and ease on over to the Hotel Motel Holiday Inn and get us a good night's rest. And
no, you're not gonna. You're not gonna
on Friday.
You're not gonna. Rest
I think we really do need to hit that show, that live video show. Get Bruce and Jake and Mason, whoever we can get. We might have to limit ourselves to the margaritas, but we need to do that.
Well, you need to get them all drunk, and you stay sober, and it'll affect them on Saturday.
I don't want to play that way, but play in moderation, and that'll be good to go.
Good stuff.
So that's what I was going to ask you. I didn't know if Gerald kept that at his shop in Houston or kept that truck down at the shop in Pensacola. So you asked that. So how did you guys get prepared so early? I mean, you obviously you're nut and bolted it and getting ready to wipe it down. That means you guys are pretty confident heading all the way in from the East Coast.
Man, I tell you, that last race at Five Flags that we won, like I said, that last show, and we've been through, my wife and I have been through COVID. We've all had sick days and all kind of crazy mess all over here and different shipping delays and everything. And everybody got our stuff taken care of when it needed to be. We found some rusted out exhaust pieces, and we had a clutch slipping during that last race. We've gotten all that replaced. Like Gerald said, dotted all the T's and crossed all the I's. Now we just got to hope we don't blow up on lap 5 in practice. And other than that, I feel like we have a pretty decent shot of trying to shake it up there at the end of the race. We have a pretty good suspension package right now. We may have to, I have yet to sit or even make a half a lap on these American racers. So I'll see how that goes. But to not do my normal thing and ramble another direction, Gerald was able to make it into town earlier since our Five Flags race got postponed or, shifted, canceled, however it needs to be worded.
Yeah.
To the season championship race. Good Lord. I'm sitting on my front porch. Somebody hit their high beams and their LEDs.
It's all good.
And so we went ahead and pulled all the brakes off, bearings off. Fixed the clutch, check everything out, made sure all of our seals are intact. Changed the springs in the locker. Everything that normally would not do for a weekly race, but would do every few races.
Right.
We went ahead and did it now, whether we did it before the last race, which most of it was done, or not. 75 laps at Houston is a grueling show, and we had some things bite us last year. taking care of those things this year, taking care of those things now so they don't happen again. And I think I woke Gerald up yesterday calling to see if he was alive or on the way home yet. He'd already been home. And he took our golf cart and our little enclosed trailer back with him yesterday. And we're pulling the race truck over there Thursday afternoon, and that's how we got ready so early. We're still sitting here. We made 3 lists and still feel like we've forgotten something.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. There's a lot. I mean, for something like this, there's a shit ton of stuff. So your thoughts on this one? So we were talking to Teague right before you. This one kind of sets up a little different last year. It wasn't head-to-head with Pensacola. Your thoughts? Have you heard, guys that are coming in? I think that this year it's going to be a pretty stacked field of race trucks.
I really think it'll be a pretty good stack. I know I hate it for the local Houston guys and everybody that was going to go to that and gals.
Yeah.
But everybody that was going to head out there last weekend and got canceled, or I guess technically this weekend, whatever it was. I hate it got canceled, but I think it'll make, like y'all were saying, Racing was saying, everybody's been talking about, that it'll make for a better show overall. We're in the hunt. We're 11 points down at Five Flags. So to touch on what you're saying about that is we're coming to win $10,000, and that's our mindset. We're going to come win $10,000. We're going to do our best to do it respectfully and patiently, and see what we can come up with there to do that, and to bring us a truck back home that even if it came down to it, which it never does, but even if I had to fix it by myself with the kids and my wife and family at home and nobody from the race team helping me, that we could do that preparation for Five Flags next week.
Yeah.
So we have to have a little bit different mindset. Cautiously aggressive is, I believe, the term we've adopted, and that's how we're going to roll with it. But we're coming to take that cash, and that's our mindset, and we'll have to see how it goes from there. But again, respectfully.
Yeah. Big part, huge part.
Logan, how important is your super late model experience running longer races going to help you on Saturday?
Normally it would be really helpful, but I got into the ice cream a little bit heavily on during our COVID stint there, and just recently started feeling back to normal and not getting winded.
Yeah.
I mean, the first few days out of it, we were Alyssa was struggling, doing stuff in the house, taking laundry back and forth, and believe me, she's in a lot better shape than I've ever thought about being in. But I mean, like vacuuming and stuff like that would wear me out.
Wow.
It took a toll on you there for a few days. I feel like I'm pretty much 100% now, and I've been trying to do a little bit more and a little more extensive, not extensive, but a little bit more strenuous work when I'm at work and delivering toilets, doing stuff like that. Try to get a little bit more out of myself just to make sure that I'm on par and going to be able to make it. That, like you said, that 75 laps in a truck's a different animal than the super, but 100, 125 in a super's no joke at all. I mean, I've let myself be in really poor shape for one of those, and it showed. I mean, when I got out of the car, you weren't ready for this, were you? No, I wasn't.
No.
But
yeah.
I feel like we're as ready as I can get. I'm feeling pretty good about it. I haven't fallen out of the seat any this year.
Nice.
And think these running these double headers at Five Flags, getting out of that outlaw into the truck, getting out of the truck straight into the outlaw. I mean, back to back, no race in between. That's helped me a lot.
Yeah.
Because you don't get that normal break. You
Right.
get a bottle of water, which is a break, but you get a bottle of water and hop back in and go again. And that's helped a lot, I feel like.
Yep.
So
Yep. One of the
that comes back to that cautiously aggressive.
That's it. That's exactly right. So one of the things that Mason was talking about right before you was talking about qualifying. I mean, obviously, I mean that is so important in a race like this. I mean, you don't want to put yourself and your equipment in a bad spot. How do you attack that? I mean, you're going to do it in the heat of the day, then you go to nighttime to race. I mean, is qualifying really the first goal that you need to knock off to be successful in this race Saturday night?
It is. But it's also, it is the first thing that I'm going to have to worry about, but it's not. I just know what, I think I qualified 17th last year. I know what 17th does to you at the start of a big race like that, at a tight racetrack that's aggressive. My biggest deficit going into this is that I have not ran these American Racer tires this year. And, excuse me, I'm not 100% sure, and maybe it's my own fault, but if we're doing an impound or if we're going to be able to make adjustments after qualifying, that will weigh most heavily on our attack plan. Heat of the day, I'm going to hope that nothing happens. No liquid sunshine, no liquid moonlight Friday night. And I'm not going to say the word. I'm not doing it.
Okay. All right. I was waiting for that.
But no, I'm going to hope that we're going to get all of our information that we can from Friday night and from Saturday during the day, and we're going to have to make our best guess. And that's going to go back to I feel like we have a really good suspension package right now for Houston. And I know how do you know that? Because you've been racing Five Flags and nowhere else.
Yeah.
We went more on a Houston and tighter track setup the last time, I feel, is what Gerald put me on. And he never said it, but thinking back and just the way that he and I work together with our team here, we try to plan ahead, whether we talk about it or not.
Yeah.
And we were a little overly aggressive for Five Flags last time. We were twitchy free. The truck was trying to turn and set way before I wanted it to. Didn't have the stability off the corner. It had plenty of stability, but as far as like a longevity, the perfect truck, it was a tighter racetrack truck. So I think we have a really good plan of attack for going to Houston here.
Yep.
And I feel like we can make it up on the backside when we come back for the season championship of the Derby here.
Right.
But that's not what we're talking about. So just our preparations here, we're going to bring some spare springs, some spring rubbers. If we need some, ball joint pins, A-arms, we're bringing everything we've got.
Bring it all, man. Bring it all.
We're coming prepared to sweat and bleed. And
love it.
That's the plan.
Right on. Right on.
So, Logan, are you bringing the Outlaw, or is it strictly 100% trucks this weekend?
It's just the trucks this weekend. For one, with Gerald already being back, I don't even know if he's awake. Y'all have to tell me if he's on there. But with him being back, we didn't have an option to bring another car or any other ride. This year, we focused the Outlaw on just trying to get it done for Five Flags. So we're going to leave it there until next year, and then we'll try to branch out from there. We haven't gotten it completely ironed out, but we're working hard at it. Mark never says die on this thing, so he's really trying to figure out what we need. It's just not ready to take out of town yet.
Yeah. And that's totally good. And I mean, that's not a bad thing. I mean, that is not a bad thing. Man, it sounds like you guys are locked and loaded. I'm thinking that number 9 is going to be really strong this weekend, my man. Can't wait to see you out there, dude. Looking forward to a fun race weekend with you guys.
I hope so, man. I'm really looking forward to seeing y'all again, seeing everybody, and trying to take home that trophy and the money. And we'll see what we can come up with.
Absolutely.
We've got to bring a steering wheel back this time.
That's right. That's right.
That's right. Play it that way.
That's the main thing. Got to bring that home first, man. Thanks for taking the time, dude. I know you're busy, but we'll see you in a couple of days, man.
All right. I'll see y'all then. I'll text you when I head that way and get up, have lunch or something, or dinner, and do the show like we talked about.
Right on.
Thank you very much.
You bet, man. We'll see you soon.
See ya. Bye-bye.
All right. Take care. Dude, he's ready. These guys,
he's ready.
These guys are. I know last year it ended kind of bad for them, but I think that this year they have their shit ready to go.
I mean, it really sounds like they've nut and bolted that thing. I mean, they're ready now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Monday and Tuesday, and it's ready now. I mean, and they're going to sit there and look at it again. They're going to try to go back and nut and bolt it again. It's too big of a race to not do it again. But they definitely have their stuff together, and I think it's going to be one hell of a race weekend with the couple of guys we talked to. Now we still got the showstopper to go. But yeah, I think it's going to be. I think this one's on the calendar for a lot of people because it's the showcase race for the trucks across the nation.
I mean, it really is.
Right? There's not a race that pays this well for a truck based series or a truck based body. So this is a showcase race all across the country.
It really is the big deal, and that was the whole thing when Gina had the concept. I'm like, look, the pro late models, the super late models, they have their day. I mean, you got the Derby, you got the Oxford 250, you've got the Rally, you got all these races. The trucks don't have anything. I mean, they get to be a part of the snowball, weekend on a Thursday.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is really one. And I know that so many folks last year that were bitching about the tech stuff. It's like, well, why are they digging into these trucks? I'm like, well, because number one, it's a lot of money. Number two, they're never on their own platform. They're never the show. And that's what happens. I mean, that's what happens. You see at the Derby and all this, they tear the shit out of these vehicles in tech. And that's why that happened. And I think that now it's going to be even better this year because folks are prepared for that. And that's one of those things that I think this is really going to intensify this. And I mean, seriously, I mean, when you get Gerald and Boyette this dialed in, he maybe shouldn't have told us all of that because now folks are thinking, oh man, these guys are ready.
Yeah, I mean they're ready early, and that's the importance of the race, and that's going to be the challenge of everybody. I mean, some people are going to sit there and they're going to out-tune themselves. We know that, but I got a feeling Friday at practice is going to be very interesting because it looks like we'll get the first look at who brought the right bullets to the gunfight.
Yeah. How do you think this race goes, Bobby? Do you think? I know last year we had cautions. Do you think that this race starts out? We don't know how many people are going to be there. We don't know how many are going to really this early scares the shit out of us, he says. Yeah, that's about right. But do you think this race takes off? Do you think we run 15, 20 laps, and guys are minding their P's and Q's, or that's what you just never know? I mean, you can have a bottleneck at the back of the pack. You can have somebody in the middle that makes a bad move. You can have a failure. I mean, how do you think the progression of this race goes? Do you think that the start is going to be, I'm curious to see what happens. How many laps we get in before something happens?
I think your front half of the field is going to be good because there's going to be so many heavy hitters and so many really good racers that are showing up. I think what's going to happen is obviously you got your chance for your back half guys to have the little fender benders and squirrel moments and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But I think that the great equalizer this time is the American racers because most of these guys have only raced 3 or 4 times on the American racers, and most of those races have been in Mobile.
That's right.
Not in Houston. So I think that for them to have the extra, the top guys are going to be fast, whether it's Hoosiers or the American racers. But I think a lot of the guys up front are going to want to take it easy first to see how well these American racers react, A, to the heat, and B, to the changes from practice on Friday night into the heat of the day on Saturday when they qualify.
And I think a big part of this is going to be because from everything that I've heard about the American racer is if you kind of cool your jets a little bit, I mean, you get some cycles into these tires that they're getting better. And, depending on tire strategy there, I mean, there's no limitations on how many of these you can buy or anything like that. But if you get out there and you get some good cycles in here, as the race goes on, you get to lap 50, 55, 60, you may be on a set of tires that are going to be continually getting better. And that's where it's going to be guys that are sitting back in 10th or 15th or whatever it may be. If you can get yourself into that second groove and kind of work yourself up, you may have better shoes on and be able to make that surge. But the thing is, if you're sitting back in 10th, 12th, 15th, you got to keep your nose clean for 50 laps. And that's where I think you're totally correct with the tires. The tires are going to be such a big factor right here, where you've got guys like Logan and Gerald that are going to be learning the tire. But even though Brett ran them at Pensacola or at Mobile, but again, different track. So there's so many things here that we're going to watch. This is going to be a race that's just going to develop in and of itself. And I think the first 40 laps it's going to be storybook watching all the different factors that are going to be playing in.
Yeah, I think it's going to be one of those really interesting races. As we talked about, now you have the track as the element that you have to fight due to the toughness of the race. And then you got to throw in the American racers as the great unknown with this one. But it's not necessarily a bad unknown. Everything we've heard about the racers have been good.
Yeah, they're not splitting. I mean, we've heard some of the Hoosiers are splitting just because of the demand and trying to get those tires put together. But we have not heard of failures on these American racers because of lack of quality. So I don't know. That is going to be a big storyline. Of course, we'll follow it. We're going to have great coverage of this, whether it be here on the Revved Up page or on the Gulf Coast page or, RevvedUpSportsShow.tv. Just lots of stuff that's going to be going on. But we've talked on the show, great conversation with Jeffrey Abbey. Man, I wish he'd go race a truck race. That would be fun.
Yeah.
Get him out there. But talk to the man that already put $10K in his pocket. Talk to one of the invaders. I struggle calling him an invader because he's one of ours. He's one of our guys.
Yeah.
But let's go to the
He's
king.
a Gulf Coast. He's a Gulf Coast guy.
He's a Gulf Coast guy. Let's go to the king of Texas. Let's go to the king of Houston, the guy that has been unstoppable, Texas State champion. He's already won there this year, and if you look at it, if you put it on paper, he's got to be the favorite going into this race. If you're going to go bet on this dude just based off of stats. On the Advanced Auto Parts hotline, it is the showstopper, Jake Wright. Jake, how we doing, man?
Man, I'm good, y'all. How are y'all doing?
Shoot, probably
Better, yeah.
Probably
better
not.
we should be.
Probably not as good as you getting ready to go run this big old race. What are you thinking?
Well,
what are you thinking getting into this?
Man, it's just like any other race is my mindset, but I am focused on that money. Last year was a different mindset. I got a little bit of a different mindset for this year. I'm not saying I'm going to go crazy or anything, but a little more aggressive. I looked at the film, looked at the tape. Definitely some things that I did wrong that I've learned, and I'm gonna move on from there.
Oh man,
Look at that.
the plot thickens.
So,
Something like that.
So Jake, we've been talking all show about the difference between the Hoosiers and the American racers. Now, obviously, you've had a couple of chances to run them in Houston, but with the rainouts in Houston, you've had more of an opportunity to run the heat cycles over at Mobile. Are you able to transfer any of that tire knowledge on the American racers from Mobile back home to Houston?
Yeah, it's like I've said. With these American racers, it's just they come in so much faster. I mean, for me anyway. I mean, shoot, couple laps, scuff run. I mean, hell, not even that. Especially for Alabama. I mean, one lap. I mean, they're already in. I mean, for those Hoosiers, it took them a couple of laps to come in. So I mean, for me, I mean, American racers all the way for me. I stick by him. I stay by him. And it's funny because I was on the fence about him, but yeah, no, I swear by him. Those are good tires for sure, in my opinion, anyway.
Yeah. So Jake, how do you guys prepare different? I mean, we were talking to Logan, to Boyette right before you, and Mason, and it's like maybe you do all the maintenance that maybe you do every other race. I mean, what all have you guys, without too many details given, what all have you guys done with the nut and bolt and everything, getting ready for this one? We're still 4 or 5 days out. What all have you guys done differently that you may not do for just a regular race?
Well, as far as maintenance goes, not too much differently. Just, went everything through a fine-tooth comb and make sure everything was, top-notch, ready to go, just polished up. I mean, like I said, we were reviewing film, looking at some mistakes that I made, keeping that in the head bank. So, but yeah, I mean, nothing too different. Nothing too different. Just a different mindset really is the big thing.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully that'll overcome this weekend. I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
So Jake, where's your program at this year compared to last year? Obviously, last year you came through and you were winning the state championship and the track championship and led the points the majority of the season. It feels like Houston, just for whatever reason, probably just with the rainouts and stuff, hasn't had a chance to get any momentum compared to years in the past. How's your program going? Are you able to build off of the Mobile races that you had a chance to go to?
Yeah, we're pretty focused on the Gulf Coast series. I mean, we didn't really have the funds to make the full series, the full season for Mobile and HMP, so we just kind of stood by the blue dates and just pretty much worked around it, HMP, of course, had their rainouts. So I mean, we've just been rolling with it, really. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So how hard is this race to process for you? I mean, because one of the things that you have to do, number one, you got to keep your nose clean. You got to keep your shit intact. But the thing is, we've talked about qualifying, how important that is. But I mean, how hard is it for you once you get behind the wheel, once you strap in, and I mean that adrenaline gets going, and I mean you want to go. How hard is it to keep your emotions in check?
Yeah, especially after those 15 laps, after it feels like freaking 30 laps, you're like, man, is it over yet? Oh, we're halfway into this thing. Now 75 laps into the mix. Now it's going to be centuries till this thing's over with. So yeah, no, you it's really hard, especially at that track. It's short. You're going to be, especially as many trucks is going to be in the mix. You're going to have lap traffic to to have in play.
Mm-hmm.
It's just going to depend on how, we could sit and talk about how we think as the race is going to go all day long. But, for me, it's just once it gets going, it's like, all right, let's go with the flow. But I think just being aggressive, but at the same time, later on, just save your tires, just be calm, patient. You'll know when to go, at least for me.
Yeah, for sure.
So, Jake, when you ran the Gulf Coast Truck Challenge there in Mobile, how different? I mean, obviously, it was at a different track than what you're used to running at Mobile instead of Houston. How different did that race feel versus a normal race? And are you anticipating that type of feel coming into this big $10,000 to win race?
Not for this one, but I know the transition from Mobile to Houston the last go, it threw me off big time, especially in practice. I went up to Jake Kruger, and I was like, man, are you sure this thing is set up right? He was like, yeah, it's fine. You just need to slow down. I was like,
yeah.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, no. But not for this one, no. Not for this one. I think I got the rhythm back down. I think we're going to be good. I think we're going to be fine.
Yep. Absolutely. And that's one of the things I think you and I were talking at Mobile. I mean, when you're on the track there, you just go and you don't lift. I mean, you lit
right.
you lit the track kind of work. Do you think that you have that advantage? Because I mean, seriously, you are the master of Houston. I mean, how does that feel? People are coming for you because you are the man here.
I wouldn't go that far.
No, come on now.
I ain't going to toot my own horn or anything, but I mean, we have been pretty good. We've been pretty good, but I mean, there's some tough competition that's coming. So I mean, and especially the pressure's on. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm going to fold or anything, but there's some heavy hitters that are coming, and I'm not counting any of them out. I mean,
sure.
Logan Boyette, and Teague, people coming from the East Coast. I mean, there's going to be quite a few. It's going to be tough. It ain't going to be easy, that's for sure.
That's right.
So we're, like I said, we're just going to be smart. We're going to do what we always do. It's just another race. There's some money on the line, but yeah.
And Jake, we talk about all these guys, but how about? I mean, you've got like a David Webster. I mean, we can talk about all the people that are coming, but a David Webster is somebody that can come up here and just snatch the whole show away from everybody.
Yep, you damn right about that.
Mm-hmm.
I love that dude. I say it all the time. I love racing with that guy because he's just, you just never know when he's going to be right. And when he's right there, he's right there with you.
That's right.
You cannot, slow down with that guy. You cannot step off the gas because he's going to be right there. It's just cool. And he's clean. He does it in a way that's clean, and I don't know. It's hard to explain, but if you're on the track, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
That's right.
I mean,
I've raced with him. Yep. Absolutely.
So, Jake, not that we want to put you on the spot, what you going to do with $10,000 if you take that money home on Saturday night?
Keeping it in the bank, saving it, man.
Well,
he has grown up.
Really going to use a snowball, honestly.
yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. So the $1 million question. So talking to Logan and these guys. So Saturday's a race, but what about Friday? I mean, I keep seeing here on the thread, everybody's talking about the party and all this stuff. Are you going to be able to control yourself on Friday night to be, fine-tuned?
No. No, there ain't gonna be no partying. No.
Okay.
I'll say hello on my way up to the room.
Yeah. You know, Jake is easily stopped. He's kind of gullible there. You can pull him off and stop him, but no.
No red room for you, huh?
Learn my lesson just on tape. I learned my lesson.
Oh my God, that is awesome.
I'm going to bed with a fresh mind. So we're gonna be golden. It's gonna be good. Looking forward to it.
Oh man, it's going to be exciting, dude. Man, this has been fun, and man, it's going to be a great weekend, dude. And I'm looking forward to seeing you guys. Talk about your team again, your dad and Miss Ellie and all these guys. I mean, you guys are homegrown too. I mean, talk about all the great folks that just keep you guys kicking ass.
Yeah, man. I got a great, like I've always said, I've got a great group of people behind me. I've got my dad, Miss Ellie, Travis, Joey Cherry, all those guys that, who've helped me throughout these years. I mean, especially my dad and Ellen. I mean, they've done so much for me, and I can't thank them enough. I mean, and Jake Kruger as well. Jake, that guy right there, he's the man. So, I mean, those people I'll always keep near and dear to this team. They excuse me. They keep us going. So.
Yep, absolutely. Great team, man. Looking forward to seeing you in a couple of days, my man. It's going to be fun. Let's go out there and take the money home. I may ask for a loan when you win that money.
That sounds good, man. Let's do it.
All right, dude. We'll see you in a couple of days. Good luck, buddy. Proud of you.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
All right, you bet. Right. Bye. There he is. Showstopper Jake Wright. And again, you have to think, that he would be, because they have been so good there. And I know last year they did race it. They did race it, I think, a little more cautious just because he hadn't been in that kind of race before. But I think now, after doing that race, after going to Pensacola and running as a part of the Derby, I think that these guys are coming out guns blazing. And that's going to be fun to watch, that team right there.
I think it will be. I think the evolution of Jake as a driver has changed. I mean, the opinion of Jake, I think, has changed over the last couple of years from where he was just, showing up and not putting forth a good effort and not being the top notch racer that he could be. And he's evolved, right? I mean, he's a little older now, got a little man that he's got to take care of now. So everybody, as life changes, you got to change with it. And I think that he's done a great job at doing that and becoming more of a seasoned veteran after all these years. He's found a really nice home in the Truck Series, both, at Houston and even over at Mobile. So he, I think he's able to rise to the occasion with the cream rising to the top.
Yeah. And I do think that the biggest part of this for the trucks, and that's why I'm so excited. I was excited last year for it. And again, we're not talking about, we don't know if John Hyle's going to show up. We don't know who else is coming. But I have a very good inclination that it's going to be a lot of really, really good, shoes and great teams that are going to come up to this thing. And they want that $10,000. And I think the biggest part of it is that this year it does balance out better, because that was one of the things last year where I talked to people from across the country, and it's like, well, the purse drop-off is too much. But I think this year, $5,000 for second, that's a good payday. And I think that this year it really lays out to be a premier event. And like we said, the trucks don't have their big day. And I think 75 laps in Houston, even though Houston's not a regular, weekly track or every other week track, I think that this is finally the opportunity for the trucks. The big thing that we don't know is the tires. Some of them know, some of them don't. I think that there are so many great things that are going to factor into this. And, man, this is going to be a blast. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, this is one of the most anticipated races in Houston in a very long time.
Very long
time.
Obviously,
last year's race was very anticipated, but yet it had so many unknowns, right, with the way that it was competing against the Five Flags. As of right now, it's not competing against hardly anything.
Nope.
So the best of the best should be here, all the way from the Gulf Coast guys to a couple of East Coast guys, even some Midwest guys may end up popping down here to try to go. The rules have been posted for a hot minute. Everybody's been able to get their trucks conformed and stuff to the rules. I don't think there's going to be any questions about the tech this year. Denny's going to go through and tech them just like they try to do at the Derby and tear them all the way down if they have to. It's a big money race. I mean, you got $1,750 payout just within the top, or 17,000 rather. $17,500 payout just in the top 3 positions. So this is a big money race, and it's going to bring some big money drivers.
Yeah, premier race. Get yourself there. I mean, check it out. I mean, there'll be a stream of it, but I mean, let's pack the place. Let's pack this place up, and let's enjoy the weekend. Hydrate. It's gonna be hot. I know that there's other things going on, but come support the racetrack. I mean, you want racing in Houston? Here's your opportunity. You got a big one, a huge one. Fill it up. Fill the place up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it's the time to come out. I mean, this is one of the big races, and this has been one on the calendar for all year, and it's been the truck race has been scheduled there for quite some time. So this is the one. I mean, if you hadn't been to a race in Houston in a hot minute, this is one you need to get to.
Yep, still a great place. Still a great place to watch a race. More information, Gulf Coast Racing Series on Facebook. You can check it out there and get everything that you need to know. Man, this has been a fun little program right here. We had Jeffrey Abbey. What a great talent he is. Then we had our quick hit, and we had our boom, boom, boom of truck celebrities. Good night on Revved Up.
Yeah, another good Monday night show, a post-holiday weekend show, if you will, since it happened on Monday night. Everybody off on Monday. Well, majority of people off on Monday anyway.
Yep.
But it's going to be a good show coming up this weekend in Houston. Got a lot of good stuff happening. Got a good race in to start the playoffs, so we'll have a pretty good Saturday show, and then we'll go from there.
Yep, and stay tuned. Never know when you might get a pop-up show, especially on this Houston coverage. Thanks, Jeffrey Abbey. Thanks, Mason Teague. Thanks, Logan Boyette, and the showstopper, Jake Wright. Hoping to see a lot of friends over in Houston. Have a great week, friends. It's a short week. Let's go racing. Big weekend of racing over in Houston, the 2nd annual Texas Truck Challenge. Bobby, great show, my man. Hope the rest of the week is good for you, brother.
I hope so. I hope everything starts shaking out a little bit better for the rest of the week. Tomorrow's going to say Tuesday on the calendar, but it's sure as hell going to feel like a Monday, so we'll roll from there and wish everybody the best. We'll see a bunch of people in Houston.
Absolutely. We're out of here. We are back next Monday. It is #Real Race Talk from Texas, the Revved Up Sports Show.